Congressman Jake Auchincloss is seeking a fourth term representing Massachusetts' 4th Congressional District and is on the ballot for the September 1st primary election against Democratic candidate Jason Poulos for Sherborn. Newton News sat down with Congressman Auchincloss to hear more about why he's running for office. As voters prepare for the Democratic primary in Massachusetts' 4th District, Congressman Jake Auchincloss is making his case for a fourth term running against Jason Poulos. A longtime Newton resident, former Newton City Councilor, and Marine veteran, Auchincloss says his focus remains on practical solutions shaped by his experience in public service.
And one thread across all those experiences has been a really relentless focus on solutions, whether it's the military, whether it is City Hall, whether it is business. You can't hand wave your way through challenges. And I try to take that approach to Congress.
Auchincloss serves on the Committee of Energy and Commerce and is a part of the Health, Energy, and Environment subcommittees. On the Environment subcommittee, he's focused on PFAS remediation, the separation, capture, and destruction to eliminate persistent forever chemicals from soil and water.
And I had been pushing for an essential use framework for PFAS that maps onto what we did with the Montreal Protocol for ozone depleting chemicals in the 1980s and 90s quite successfully, where there's essential uses, there's semi-essential uses, and there's non-essential uses, and there are corresponding regulations for that. We don't have anything like that right now, and to my frustration, Republicans and industry are pushing back on that, but that is the goal. In the short term, I've directed tens of millions of dollars to the 4th District for PFAS remediation and municipal water supplies to make sure that it's meeting the 4 parts per trillion threshold that the Biden administration set.
Beyond PFAS, Auchincloss says the Energy Subcommittee gives him room to push for long-term climate solutions and bipartisan clean energy development.
And the Energy Subcommittee, I'm really driving for clean energy, both permitting reform and R&D. I introduced bipartisan legislation to support the super hot geothermal industry. This is a great example of what I was referring to earlier about how do you solve problems in a divided Washington in a way that reflects my constituents' values. Well, my constituents want clean energy investment and climate action. In order to solve problems in Washington, I need Republicans on board. Republicans love drilling stuff, just absolutely adore it. And so super hot geothermal is we can drill into the earth, you get clean energy out, high base load, affordable power.
As for the Health Subcommittee, Auchincloss has been an active voice against current Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I've held his feet to the fire. You know, he was coming to a hearing recently and was sitting in the back of the room with a couple of Republican members of Congress, and they were saying to him, Mr. Secretary, you know, when you come here, you can't be as combative as you has been in the past. This is a congressional hearing, you have to have some decorum. And he said, fine. But if that guy Auchincloss comes after me again, I'm going to lose my mind. And my view is, bring it. I'm in a box with that man because he is a threat to public health, and he needs to go. I was also very involved in oversight over the FDA Commissioner, Marty McCary. Been on the warpath against that guy for the last year. He was recently fired. And I'm going to continue to hold the FDA to account. It regulates 20% of the U.S. economy, bigger proportion of the Massachusetts economy because of how much eds and meds we do. And they need to have safety and efficacy be the standard, not fear and favor.
Stemming from parental concerns as the dad of 3, social media reform has been on the forefront of Auchincloss's agenda, bringing up bipartisan solutions with an emphasis on platform accountability and stronger protection for users online.
I think Meta, TikTok, Insta, I think they will be viewed as the tobacco companies of the 21st century. Their actions are that exploitative, that damaging to American public health. And I do view this as a public health issue, not as a free speech issue.
He explains the fight over social media regulation is a part of a broader push to rein in powerful tech companies and protect younger users online.
What it comes down to is the tech companies are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to get the kind of legislation they want in Washington, D.C., and they need to be fought off. And the way to fight them off is to go back to public opinion, because public opinion is against them.
In addition to his domestic agenda, Auchincloss has weighed in on U.S. foreign engagements. He opposes the current administration's involvement in the war in Iran and believes the U.S. should withdraw.
So yes, this president is the first one in American history to start and lose a war by himself. And it pains me to say this, I root for America on the world stage, but I don't think a victory is salvageable in this catastrophe. I think what we have to do is not fall into sunk cost bias, where even though something has gone badly, you keep on investing time, treasure, lives into it. Instead, have to recognize this commander-in-chief is so incompetent that we actually just have to cauterize this whole adventurism overseas, recognize that it's probably a degraded status quo in the Middle East, negotiated transit of the Strait of Hormuz, probably elevated prices because of it, but keep him away from the buttons, because my goodness, this guy's going to cause more death and damage. And Congress has to kind of box him in and allow the next president latitude to clean up the mess.
On Israel, he supports the U.S.-Israel alliance and Israel's right to defend itself, but says American military assistance must come with clear accountability.
Yeah, listen, the Democratic Party is having a big debate about Israel. I don't think we should pretend otherwise. It's clear. Where I'm going to stand on that is, as we prepare for the next memorandum of understanding, what that looks like. I want it to feature a qualitative military edge for Israel. I want it to feature normalization for Israel with its regional allies or potential allies. And I want it to be able to pass Congress, not just in a bipartisan way, but with majorities of all four quadrants, Senate, House, Dem, Republican, because that bipartisan basis is critical for any successful foreign policy for America.
Auchincloss's work on foreign policy connects to his role leading the majority Democrats, a coalition he says is focused on rebuilding trust in the government and defining what the Democratic Party stands for.
But after 9/11, in the 1990s, when I was growing up, people generally trusted that the Supreme Court and the president and Congress were going to do the right thing, even if they disagreed. And that has just collapsed in the last 25 years. There's all kinds of theories about why. I think there's probably a lot of different explanations about why: social atomization and the Iraq War and the great financial crisis. And I'm sure there's all parts of that, gerrymandering. And the point is, we got to fix it. And the fixing starts with trust. And the trust starts with elected officials who are authentically working for the people they represent. And that's the kind of people we recruited to majority Democrats.
For more information about Auchincloss and his campaign, you can visit jake4ma.com. This is Hannah Connors for Newton News.